What's up, everybody? It's JT Sports, and I'm just here to tell you guys the San Francisco 49ers and New England Patriots are going to the Super Bowl. This season's basically over. We already knew New England was going to the Super Bowl before the season already started. A lot of people kept on telling me, oh, Kansas City has a chance of beating New England. Kansas City's going to beat New England this year. You see our defense? Oh, we switch our defensive schemes. Our defense is going to be blah, blah, blah. The defense still sucks. Kansas City still cannot stop anybody to save their life. So please don't tell me that Kansas City is going to stop this New England Patriots team. One of the best defenses in the NFL that I've seen since the 85 Bears. Do not tell me the Kansas City Chiefs are going to beat the New England Patriots with that defense. It's not going to happen. We knew, like I said, we knew New England was going to the Super Bowl before the season already started. Now, San Francisco 49ers, on the other hand, I knew the San Francisco 49ers were going to be a good team, but not this good. I did not expect the 49ers to be undefeated going into the midway point of the NFL season. Now, a lot of people trying to tell me I was overrating the San Francisco 49ers. Let me tell you something. You got D. Ford, DeForest Buckner, and Nick Bosa. All three of those guys are going to be in the Pro Bowl. You got Richard Sherman, who's going to be an All-Pro at the end of the season. The San Francisco 49ers, their defensive coordinator, is probably going to be a hot head coach candidate on several NFL teams in the offseason. Not only because he's a good defensive coordinator, but players love playing for him. He can get guys pumped up. He can motivate guys. He reminds me of a younger version of a Mike Tomlin. And then you got Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan is a football genius on the offensive side of the ball. The San Francisco 49ers, nobody can stop this run game. They beat down the LA Rams a couple of weeks ago, forced the LA Rams to do a mid-season rebuild. Then they just smacked Carolina on national television. Smacked Carolina. They just ran the football up and down Carolina's throats. And Carolina has a top 5 front 7. This is a Carolina Panthers front 7 that is really, really good. That has been playing really good for most of the season. And they just got smacked around. Anytime a team is able to run the ball like how the 49ers ran the ball on the Carolina Panthers, not only does it show how good you are, but it shows you how dominant you are. The 49ers took away the Carolina Panthers' manhood. Anytime you can just line up and run the football like how the 49ers ran the football against the Carolina Panthers, that's disrespectful. It's disrespectful when you can just impose your will on the other team's defensive line like that and run the ball down that team's throats like that. The 49ers have 4 talented halfbacks who could be starting halfbacks on several NFL teams. You got George Kittle, the best tight end in football. You got Jimmy Garoppolo, who is a solid quarterback. You got Kyle Shanahan, who's probably the most innovative offensive mind in the NFL right now. NFL Coach of the Year for sure. And the thing is, they're not even fully healthy. Joe Staley and Mike McGlinchey are injured, and they haven't even came back yet. So they're dominant running the football with 2 backup offensive linemen. Joe Staley's out and Mike McGlinchey are out, and both of those guys are slated to return at some point during this season. Let's not also forget the 49ers defense. The 49ers, Richard Sherman has played like an All-Pro. He's going to be an All-Pro at the end of the season. So tell me, who in the NFC is going to stop the San Francisco 49ers? Maybe it's the 49ers. The 49ers are up here, and then you got the Green Bay Packers, and you got the Saints, and then you got the rest of the NFC. The Saints and the Packers are the only 2 teams I trust that have a chance of beating the 49ers. Have a chance. Here's why I think the 49ers are going to go to the Super Bowl in the NFC, right? You can't trust New Orleans defense against great offenses. Now, New Orleans defense, they will beat up on the subpar teams and things like that. But when it comes to elite offenses, they never show up. They never show up. Their defense just disappears. So I don't trust New Orleans to beat the 49ers. And I don't trust Green Bay. And here's why. Green Bay's defense has played decent. This defense has played great. Let me take that back. This defense has played good. It's probably the best Green Bay Packers defense they have in a very long time. But I don't think the 49ers are going to lose to the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs. I just cannot see it happening. This 49ers team, they're just so talented up front on the defensive line. You got Quan Alexander. You got speed at the linebacker position. You got corners who can cover. You got a solid secondary. You got a defensive line that's great at rushing the pass. You got Nick Bosa. You got DeForest Buckner. It's just so much talent on the San Francisco 49ers defense. I just can't see the Green Bay Packers beating them. It's just too much talent on this team. Now, Green Bay is a talented team as well, but not as talented as the 49ers. So the 49ers are going to the Super Bowl. Okay? Now, don't tell me the Rams, the Cowboys have a chance. The Cowboys are not beating the 49ers in the playoffs. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Since when, the last 2 decades, when could you ever count the Dallas Cowboys when the money's on the line to get the job done? It's not going to happen. Especially with Jason Garrett as their head coach. They're not beating the 49ers. The LA Rams, they're not beating the 49ers. Their defense has played average. Okay? And their offensive line has not played that great. It's been middle of the road so far. Seattle has a great coaching staff, a great organization and whatnot, but they're not beating the 49ers in the playoffs. They're not. Okay? This Seattle Seahawks defense is not going to beat the 49ers. This is the same Seattle defense that lost to Lamar Jackson, who is 9 of 20 passing. Seattle's a great organization. They got a great coaching staff, but they're not going to beat the San Francisco 49ers if they play them in the playoffs. They might take a game on them in the regular season, but I guarantee you that Seattle would not beat the 49ers in the playoffs. It would not happen. I don't trust Seattle to get it done. Look, the 49ers have a great head coach, and they have talent. When you combine a great head coach plus a talented football team, what does that give you? It gives you a Super Bowl caliber team. And Seattle has a great coaching staff, but they don't have the talent to match up with the 49ers. And if you watch football, you know that the most talented team doesn't always win the Super Bowl. It's always the most well-coached team that ends up winning the Super Bowl. And the 49ers are talented and they're well-coached. Same thing with the New England Patriots. They're talented and they're well-coached. Those two teams are going to be meeting in the Super Bowl. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, it's too early, it's only mid-season, things can change, blah, 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 blah. Listen here. Early November, late October, right? This is the last week of October, the time we're recording this, and we're getting into November. November is when we start to see teams separate from themselves. That's when we start to see the Super Bowl contenders separate from just the playoff contenders, and we see the playoff contenders separate from the non-playoff contenders in November. And that's what we're seeing out of San Francisco 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers are separating themselves from the rest of the NFC. It's not a huge argument that you can, if I was to ask you, why the Dallas Cowboys, why the Philadelphia Eagles, why the Green Bay Packers, why the New Orleans Saints have a chance of beating the San Francisco 49ers? You wouldn't be able to tell me one. You wouldn't be able to give me a legit argument why those teams I just named could beat the San Francisco 49ers. Because that's just how so far apart the 49ers are from the rest of the NFC. Same thing with the New England Patriots, but we already knew the New England Patriots separated themselves before the season already started. We already knew the New England Patriots were going back to the Super Bowl again this year. We already knew it. Even before the season, I was having nightmares about it. Because New England is going back to the Super Bowl. And nobody's going to stop New England. Do not tell me that Kansas City is not going to stop New England. It's not going to happen. Not with that defense. Not with that defense. The defense still sucks. Defense still sucks. You're not going to beat New England with that defense. And I'm sorry, you Kansas City Chiefs fans are offended, but be offended. Because you're not going to beat the New England Patriots with that defense. No way that happens. If you want to go ahead and dislike the video and call me an idiot, I don't know anything about football, go ahead. But I'm just being real. You're not going to beat the New England Patriots with that defense. Tom Brady's going to spit you out. He's going to eat you up alive with that defense. And Andy Reid is the equivalent to Mike D'Antoni of the Houston Rockets in the NBA. They can build your team up. They can make you a Super Bowl contender. They can make you think that you have a chance of winning the Super Bowl every season. But when it comes to beat the New England Patriots, Bill Belichick makes Andy Reid his son. Andy Reid can just now out-coach Bill Belichick. Kansas City's defense is not good enough to beat New England. And it's crazy because New England doesn't even have great wide receivers or anything. They just have a system that works. So Kansas City is the only hope we have of beating the New England Patriots, and it's not going to happen. The Baltimore Ravens are not going to beat New England. Baltimore can't throw the football on this New England secondary. You can run all day. We just saw the Cleveland Browns. Nick Chubb had 120 yards rushing, and they still lost. Cleveland did what they had to do, run the football, and they still couldn't win. So nobody's going to beat the New England Patriots in the end. We know that New England Patriots are going back to the Super Bowl once again. Now the San Francisco 49ers, I'm 90% sure they will make it to the Super Bowl. Because November is when we start to see teams. Late October, November are the months that we start to see teams separate themselves from the rest of the other teams in the conferences. New England already separated themselves before the season already started. San Francisco is separating themselves from the rest of the NFC. And you can't give me a legit argument and tell me why any team in the NFC has a chance of beating the San Francisco 49ers. And don't tell me it's early. Because this is the month. This is when football season is really football season. November, late October is when football season is in full throttle. This is when we see teams separate themselves from the rest of the NFL. This is when we see the contenders separate themselves from the playoff contenders, and the playoff contenders separate themselves from the non-playoff contenders. And so far, the 49ers and the New England Patriots have separated themselves. And also a stat I want to throw out there. The New England Patriots and the San Francisco 49ers have two of the best margins of victory or point differentials in the NFL. And 80% of the time, two teams who have the best point differentials end up going to the Super Bowl 80% of the time. You go ahead and look it up. Most of the time, teams that have a good point differential, a good margin of victory, that are top two in the NFL or top in the conference and point differential, end up going to the Super Bowl. You can go ahead and look it up. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to go ahead and tell you the San Francisco 49ers and New England Patriots, they're going to the Super Bowl. Make sure to like the video and subscribe for more NFL videos and college football videos. And thanks for watching.